Junior life.
And good morning, happy Monday, and welcome to Power Talk. It is my pleasure to be with you today. I'm very excited about this wonderful weekend, a wonderful show today. Before we get started, I want to invite you all. I'm doing a free 1-hour healing, clearing, and meditation conference call. It will be tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Instant Teleseminar. And the link was on Facebook. It's also was in my latest newsletter. But if you didn't get it, if you pop me an email, jean@jeanadrienne.com, I will send you the link so that you can join us tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Tuesday. And now let's just dive into our show for today. I'm so excited to introduce to you all my dear friend Tuck Self. Tuck is an author, she is a life coach, and she also is an expert on the human design system, the gene keys, and what we're going to be talking about today in particular is a subset of the gene keys called the Venus sequence. And her website is www.therebelbell, TheRebellBelle.com. So welcome, Tuck.
Hi, Jean. Good morning. I'm happy to be here on Power Talk today.
And I am happy to see your beautiful face. And, you know, listeners and viewers, I just have to tell you that when Tuck introduced me to human design, I guess it's been like a year almost now, I just found it to be life-changing because the information that she was able to give me on how I'm made up made so mumuch sense. I mean, it actually made sense out of all the craziness that has been my life for a lot of these 69 years. So I just had to dive into it deeper, and I've been studying with Tuck now for quite a while on the first part of the gene keys, which was called the activation sequence. And I've had Tuck on before, and she's talked to you guys about it. So if you want to go back in the archives and find the other interviews I've done too, I think, with her up to this point, you can get more information, or you can just contact her off of her website. But today we're going to talk about one that's really near and dear to my heart right now, which is called the Venus sequence, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Tuck, but it has to do with walking you back through your life and finding your genetic makeup that takes you back to what your core wound is, to enable you to heal that. Because when you do that, then you're able to open yourself up to achieve your potential that you chose for yourself in this lifetime. Did I say that right?
Yes. And it's, the synchronicity of what's happening outside my window. They're the most adorable two birds playing together. And I say that because in addition to what you just shared about the Venus sequence, the how that is worked, the process of it comes forth via our relationships. And so this is this adorable relationship between these two birds happening outside my window.
Right.
Everything that you said about tapping back into the deepest core of who we are, the self-mastery, the self-illumination, I call it the journey back home, unraveling the patterns, the defense mechanisms that are covering up my heart so that it's no longer wide open to myself, to others, to God, happens via our relationships, right?
Boy, doesn't it ever?
So the Venus sequence is about how we show up in relationships. It is Jean, and you and I both have a testament to this. Embarking on the golden pathway, moving through the prime gifts, which was, I believe, what we talked about in the first video, which had to do with our grounding ourselves in the quality of the essence, the consciousness, the essence of who we are so that we can express and live our genius while we are stabilized in the core of our physical form. We now move into the Venus sequence. So we're moving into the emotional realm. We're moving into our life and relationships and partnerships. And my experience, and I imagine yours too, once you embark on these journeys, crazy things happen in our lives. Big things, revelations, experiences, events, experiences, people, circumstances come to us that allow us, in my opinion, to have one of the most extraordinary breakthroughs and transformations that we might have ever experienced as we embark upon and go through the Venus sequence. And I know you've had your very own personal starting point to embark upon huge transformation. I'm going to say with your eye. And it's crazy, isn't it?
It is, because I had just really started diving in to the Venus sequence, and I was, studying the gene keys that were associated with the different parts of that when I had this accident. And I had to stop, because I couldn't read. I was laid up for, 4 months. But as I've gotten back into it now, I'm having huge epiphanies, that I think wasn't ready for. It's interesting because this past week, I started working with the 25th gene key. And this is going to make me cry to tell you this one. But I started working with the 25th gene key on Saturday. And on Friday night, I went to see the movie The Shack, which was all about shame, and then, which is the shadow of that gene key, and then moving into acceptance, which is the gift of it, and then universal love, which is the city of it. And I wasn't ready to open that. That's not part of my profile, the 25th gene key. So I wasn't really ready to dive into that until I saw this movie.
Yeah. I appreciate the fact that you speak about a gene key that's not in your profile, because I think sometimes people ask, well, I don't have that one in my profile. I don't have that one in my imprinting. I'm open, in that particular place in my chart. And what that means is you get to experience that out in the world. You will be taking that in many different ways, almost like a weather pattern. And you'll experience it in the way that you experience it. So thank you for bringing that piece up. I actually took a look at your chart today. Again, I was looking at your golden pathway, particularly the imprinting of your Venus sequence. And I continue, Jean, to be inspired, and I'll say gobsmacked, when I look at people's human design charts or their golden pathway charts, because there is always the most extraordinary thread running through people's designs that connects things for us. And so if you're looking at your particular Venus sequence and you have the question, okay, am I seeking something that I don't have? Am I seeking love? Am I seeking money? Those kinds of things. Am I caught up in the drama of my life? There are words, not only in your gene keys, but in the lines of your gene keys, that will give you specific information that will let you know, okay, am I in denial, which happens to be the line of your core wound? Am I in denial of something? The threads, the words, I find looking at these sequences fascinating, in that if we simply look at the words, the words of the shadow, the gift, and the city, the information that comes with that emotionally, translated intellectually, and what we feel physically is so informative in when I'm present, giving me the information that I need to process any beliefs that I'm holding on to, any patterns that, again, are keeping me from completely opening my heart to life. Your words, timelessness.
Before we go into those words, maybe there are viewers who are hearing this information for the first time and they have no clue what we're talking about when we say the shadow, the gift, and the city. Can you explain that just a little bit, please?
Yes, every one of the gene keys, every one of the 64 gene keys in the Chinese I Ching, in the 64 codons of our genetic code, have a way that they express themselves archetypically in the world. Each one of the gene keys lives in a spectrum of consciousness, across a spectrum of consciousness. Think of them as frequencies, think of them as states of being, states of consciousness that can be expressed as the shadow, which is the lower vibration, the gift expression, which is, it's the creative potential that we all carry in the world. So it's the shadow, the gift, or the siddhi, S-I-D-D-H-I, which to me, I think of it as essence, pure essence, beyond polarity, beyond duality, into that oneness. So it's the highest expression of a gene key. So
Right.
we're talking about the three ways my expression of that gene key can show up in the world.
Yeah, and each one of those expressions has a word associated with it in
Mm-hmm.
each of the gene keys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
go for it.
Yeah, like for the theme in yours is fascinating to me. Like as a child, if I looked at your profile, the Venus sequence in particular, it would say to me, Jean was a boundless, adventurous, child that was open, that was ready to take in and love the world, to love and to be loved. And what was important for you would have been to be understood. This vibrancy, this creativity, this vitality that was there, to have that empowered. And when we're children, those kinds of things aren't what is happening for us.
Nobody understood me, and everybody tried to rein me in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so what I love about the Venus sequence is you can come to this sequence, and you, anyone else, we can look at first let's talk about how it gets laid down. That might be helpful. Everyone's Venus sequence gets laid down this way. You talked about the sacred wound, the core wound. It is imprinted at our point of conception. So each one of us have a wound that we're given to heal as part of the collective. That happens at conception. Between the ages of 0 and 7, we create physiological patterns in our bodies. I'm chemically holding on to something because I don't have the intellectual capacity or the emotional capacity to process these people that are in fear and survival around me in my world. And so I create physiological patterns to close off my heart, to isolate myself because I'm scared, right? I'm no longer unconditionally loved. Between 7 and 14, we move into the emotional realm of our lives where we're attempting to figure out what our boundaries are. And so we will create emotional defense mechanisms, emotional patterns to protect ourselves. Now it's all made up anyway, right? To protect ourselves from this survival-oriented, fear-based world outside. Between 14 and 21, we create intellectual patterns of thinking because we don't want to feel our emotions. We don't want to feel our physiology. And so we're layering it on, physical, emotional, intellectual, physical, emotional, intellectual. My heart is now closed and it's no longer open to myself, others, and God and life. I'm now in some addictive pattern of behavior on an never-ending quest to find something in my life that I believe is missing. Now, I have always said there's a happy ending to every story because that sounds so sad.
Yeah, right? Okay, lay it on me.
That sounds so sad. And so the Venus sequence, we go in reverse to begin peeling back the layers to open our hearts. So as one comes out of the prime gifts activation sequence and they are stabilized in their core physically, again, we enter like a portal into the emotional realm. We are either now, I'll say we're no longer on that never-ending quest to find what we don't have. I'm grounded in my purpose, right? Yep. Now I'm going to attract the people and the events and the circumstances to me that I am meant to attract along my path that will allow me to transform the intellectual, emotional, and physiological patterns that have me closed off. So I'm open, my heart's open, and I start attracting. Now, as I'm attracting, I get to look at my intellectual patterns, the ones that I have that to defend me. Mm-hmm. I get to look at my emotional patterns, and I get to look at my physiological patterns. So we go through what you and I call the IQ, the intellectual, the EQ, the emotional, and the SQ, the spiritual, so that we can begin again to unpeel, to release, to heal, so that our hearts are open, we're no longer isolated, and ultimately, as we hit that, what used to be the core wound, we're now living that highest expression of who we are, which turns into our core talent that we're here to share with the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a beautiful way to uncover. I mean, I would have to say that at least a third of the people who come to me for coaching want to know, why am I here?
Yeah.
The big issues are, how come I can't have a healthy relationship, and what's going on with my money? And then the third one is, why am I here?
Yeah.
And so what a beautiful way to go back yourself within yourself and figure that out, because it is a journey that you have to take by yourself.
Yeah.
But having somebody like you, Tuck, to be able to look at it and see what I can't see, has been such a blessing for me.
It's a beautiful dance when I am willing. And Jean, if I look back at my life, I can pinpoint the point in time in my life where I went, damn, I can't project anymore. It's not out there. I'm the only one that can fix this, in quotes, fix this about myself. Therefore, it's about me taking responsibility for what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and what I'm creating and what I'm attracting. And so to truly be present to everything that's in front of me, and if I feel triggered, if I feel my buttons get pushed, if I feel sad, mad, glad, scared, whatever, it is my responsibility. And I'll call it an opportunity, because responsibility sounds like a discipline thing.
Yeah, that sounds heavy.
And I don't like to be disciplined. It is a beautiful opportunity for transformation. And I am of the belief that I am here to be God's love on earth. And I'm not fully open to that because of the conditioning that I've taken on. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful journey that we get to take. I get to take it inside myself, self-mastery, self-illumination, and I get to do it in partnership with you, with the people in my life, with the events in my life, because I truly am. I'm in this thing alone, and yet I'm never by myself. I'm always interacting with something or someone. And
and you mentioned that in my chart, my core wound is denial. And for most of my life, I think what I denied was my responsibility. I wanted to judge people and blame people for the things that happened to me. And once you become aware of that and start, as you said, peeling back the layers, then that becomes no longer appropriate. And I have to say that the big difference that I see in myself, in having been working with you on this for a year now, I guess, is that I don't see myself judging people anymore. I'm much more accepting, which I thought was interesting, because the gift that I've been, pondering this weekend is acceptance. Accepting myself first and accepting everybody else just where they are.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah. You're in your prime gifts, your conscious gifts are about tenderness and divine will, as opposed to weakness and exhaustion. And I know we talked about, note to Jean, when you're feeling exhausted, when you're not being tender with yourself, you will not be in the boundlessness and the timelessness of creation and the creator. When you are being tender and you are in alignment with divine will, you're playing in the void. You are filled with adventure. At that point in time, you do go out into the world in a way that allows you to create relationships that are fertile, they are abundant, they are bounteous for you, and you're feeling a sense of peacefulness there. That's your 6th gene key in your attractor field, which then has your mind be completely open to this, experience of full celebration and detachment from what happens. You'll feel it, but you're not judging it. You're not attached to it. That's your IQ. When you're in that place of full intellectual celebration, because you have a brilliant mind, Jean, that is innovative, it's pioneering, you will then escalate to have this emotional encounter with yourself, others, and God through the EQ in your fourth gene key, which is about pure forgiveness. It's openness. In the fifth line, which is all about feeling your power and respecting yourself and being respected by others, which then has you move into this SQ, your spiritual quotient, the 58, which is bliss and vitality. So for me, when I say the words bliss and vitality, that taps into boundlessness for me with you. It taps into the divine will. And then we come into your core wound, which is pure intimacy, pure transparency. So when you're not in denial, when you're at ease, like a second line, because you have a lot of second lines, when you're dancing the dance of life, you are open, you are present. The door to the Creator is open, and you are having the most intimate, exciting, adventuresome dance with the Creator. And you'll know what that feels like. Like I could sit here and tell you what it, but that's what I love about this. It is your experience of this.
Exactly. And to me, that that intimacy and transparency had to happen first with me, with myself. Yeah. So all those areas where I had been in denial about that really had to do with myself, and I had to uncover that and play in it, wear it for a while and go, oh yeah, until I actually was able to actualize acceptance and intimacy and transparency.
Yeah. And again, so looking at the upside, I mean, really the beautiful upside of the second line, it is the line of pure natural expression. It is the line of passion. And in your case, if we're looking at intimacy and transparency, because remember, your core wound turns into your core talent. Right. You are the expression, the natural expression of intimacy and transparency with ease, like the ease of a dance. So there's no effort to it, and that kind of thing. And so going back to you're either in a place of hunger where you think something's missing, or you are in that place of adventure and boundlessness. So they all the shadows tie in, and all of the gifts in the cities tie into one another.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, it's really amazing how all this works. And the information that you need to have prepared to give to Tuck in order for her to be able to work with you and support you in looking at these things and diving into this process it's very simple. It's what day were you born, where were you born, and what time. Those are the three pieces of information, which are the same three pieces that you give to an astrologer to give you your astrology chart. But the human design piece gives you so much more. It's like it fills in all the blanks, and it brings that astrological information into a tangible piece that really relates to who you are today.
Yeah. And two things again, the Venus sequence is a journey that's emotional. It's an emotional journey. I invite people to come to the exercise of both human design and the golden pathway undecided. By that I mean fully open to live in the inquiry. What you and I and the whole world is used to doing by default is living from our intellect and our head. And you cannot go through this intellectually. We must be willing to dive into uncertainty, completely undecided about life, so that we can let the Creator, I'm not kidding, kick the door open and dance with us in ways that will just gobsmack us.
Absolutely. And the timing on this is perfect, because as we've moved into this higher vibration, some people call it the fifth dimension, whatever, it's a journey that takes us from the head to the heart. And one of my friends said a long time ago, that's the longest 18 inches in the whole wide world, is getting out of our heads and getting down into our hearts. And you can't do that without awareness. You really have to become aware of where you are every moment of every day and accept it for what it is.
And thank you for saying that, Jean, because the whole process of the gene keys and the golden pathway is to raise the awareness. If we're talking about the spectrum of consciousness going from the shadow to the gift to the city, it is a journey for Tuck to expand her awareness and her consciousness while she's here on the planet. So that was a beautiful tie-in as to
absolutely it is, and so how did you embark on this path, Tuck?
which one? Human design came into my life in 2003. And I'm a 5-1, and a 1 investigates everything. And so I really sought out as many human design practitioners, analysts, and experts as I could. And it was then that I was introduced to both Richard Rudd and Werner Pitzel. And from there, they created the bodies of work of integral human design, the gene keys, and ultimately the golden pathway. And so I've been playing around with the gene keys and the golden pathway, I'm going to say since 2004. It's been so long ago, I don't remember. And all I know is when I find something that feels true, when I see truth jumping up off the page, it's when it feels that resonant, I can't let it go. And I find that this information is evergreen. That's what it feels like. It grows with me. It evolves with me. I'm constantly seeing things on myself that I didn't see before. And I do believe that it is one of the most essential, I will say essential, systems and bodies of work that have come down the pike. I believe they've come in when we're ready, just like you said a minute ago, because they are a synthesis of so many things. And we are looking to synthesize life and bring things together. I hope that answered your question.
It did, and I guess the core textbook of this that I'm using is a book by Richard Rudd. It's called The Gene Keys, and Gene keys, not the J-E-A-N-E. So I've read the ones, the 26 gene keys that were in my particular profile. I mean, I've read them now many times. Every time I go through the book, I use a different color highlighter. So my book looks like a rainbow. But now what I'm doing is I'm starting to go and read the other ones there, because there's 26 more of them that I don't have. So that's how I stumbled upon this 25th gene key. And of course, everything happens at the right and perfect time.
Everything is here for us to experience. And if we can come to the exercise undecided, ready to experience life as we've never experienced it before, oh, boundless and adventurous one, living in timelessness, the better it gets, the better it gets.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So what do you offer classes in this that people can take, right? How would they find out about your classes?
The best thing to do would be to get in touch with me, because the way it seems to work best I'll go back to human design and say as a manifesting generator, it is best to give me something to respond to. I do teach basic and advanced classes on human design. I do teach, the work around the gene keys, the golden pathway, moving people through the different sequences, the different 3 sequences. My friend Sim and I also do the mystery experience retreat, taking people through the golden pathway, each sequence individually. So because I believe it serves better if it's adapted to what people are looking for and what they need, everybody can use this body of work. And it is a body of work that they are going to take themselves through. My experience is to have guidance of someone that's experienced in the material, there to support you and to guide you through, quantum leaps it to a whole nother level. And that's what I love to do. And I can do it individually and in groups.
And you're like a walk-in encyclopedia of this. I mean, when I get on the phone with Tuck,
a little overpowering.
And I'm looking at this, and that's your fourth in this line and that line, and she's got it on the top, right off the top of her head. She has exactly what each of these things mean. Now I have to flip back and forth through my book and stick a bookmarker in there and check this, that, or the other.
I can't help it, Jean. I get so excited when I see the possibility of the highest expression of who people can be. I think I love it because this is so beautifully laid out for you. It is your imprinting. And to be able to cheerlead somebody to that highest perspective, makes me a happy girl.
Well, your passion shows in everything you do, and you are in your passion, you know, and that's really amazing. And that's where each
brilliant
of us has
body
the
of work
potential to get there. You know, we just have to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
What direction.
Willingness. You're right.
And that's why, you know, the Gene Keys and the Golden Pathway gives you that direction. It's pretty freaking amazing. So get in touch with her at her website, therebelbelle.com, TheRebellBelle.
Yeah, the email is tuck@therebelbelle, spelled the same way. And I am really not opposed to giving people my telephone number because I love personal conversation with people. So I'm going to give my number. It's 803-665-0847. If any of this appeals to you, if I feel like someone that you would love to play with, I'm not going to say work with, I'm going to say play with. I would love to guide you through this process and share whatever I can with you about how dynamic you are and how powerful the system is. We are on Power Talk, right?
That's right. And working with Tuck is play. It's fun. She's got the most amazing sense of humor, and she's able to get outside the box and really, you know, zero in. I mean, she finds your pressure point. Wham! Just like that. You know, I ripped my headphone out of my ear. So this has been fun and exciting. Tuck, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy week to share about the Gene Keys and the Golden Path. And viewers and listeners, get in touch with her because you won't regret it. You know, it has been pivotal in my life. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to go through an accident to get to the full benefit of this. That's just, you know, that's part of my misdenial. You know, I had to go there. I had to make it the hard struggle away. But, you know, I don't have to anymore, which is kind of like really cool. So thank you.
Thank you, Jean. It is always a delight. It's a delight to be in partnership and conversation with you. And thank you for always your ongoing support of this work.
Well, it's amazing. It's an amazing body of work, and you are an amazing teacher. So
thank you.
Very good. And so listeners, join me again next week. I'm going to have another fantastic guest for you next week, as well as catch me tomorrow night, Tuesday evening, 7:00 Eastern time. If you don't have my newsletter, you can't find me on Facebook to get the link for the instant teleseminar and the phone numbers to call in, then just pop me an email, jean@jeanadrienne.com, and I will be happy to send you that link. Look forward to seeing you then and seeing you again next week. And remember, until then, people who take responsibility for their lives create the realities they desire. Ciao.